Let's just jump right into it. If you've ever stared down an engineering blueprint and felt completely overwhelmed by that alphabet soup of symbols, well, you are definitely in the right place today. We're decoding the feature control frame using the exact rules set by the ASME Y14.5 standard.
This tiny little rectangular box just told a machinist exactly how to manufacture a part, and it told a quality inspector exactly how to check it. Seriously, it's the ultimate source of truth. If you can't read it, you literally can't make the part right. But stick with me, because by the end of this explainer, you're going to be able to decode any of these on site.
Okay, freeze right here for a second. Take a look at the sheer amount of data packed into this dense, multi-datum feature control frame. Go ahead and try to guess what all these geometric symbols, modifiers, and letters actually mean before we break it all down together. Like, what's that circle with the crosshair? And what on earth does that circled M do?
So the secret to mastering this whole thing is actually incredibly simple. You just read it exactly like you'd read a sentence, from left to right. Every single feature control frame is broken up into compartments that follow a really strict logical order. You start on the far left with the geometric symbol, you move into the middle for the tolerance value and its modifiers, and you finish up on the right side with the datum references. Let's walk through this sentence piece by piece.
Step 1. First up on the far left, we have the geometric characteristic symbol. This dictates exactly what type of control we're applying to the feature. It could be a control for form, like flatness or straightness, or maybe profile. But in our running example here with that crosshair symbol, that's a location control for position. It tells us precisely what we're controlling right out of the date.
Moving on to step 2, let's see how this builds. This middle section holds the tolerance value, giving us the actual numerical size of our acceptable zone. Here we've got a 0.25, meaning our tolerance zone is 0.25 units wide, and the manufactured feature has to live perfectly inside that specific boundary to pass inspection. But a number all by itself isn't quite enough, is it? We need to know the shape of that boundary.
And that brings us to a massive trap. The diameter symbol, that little circle with a slash through it. Missing this is a huge mistake that causes real headaches on the shop floor. If that symbol is sitting right before your tolerance number, your tolerance zone is a three-dimensional cylindrical space. But if it's missing, you're stuck with two parallel planes. It's literally like trying to fit a round peg into a square hole if you get this wrong. Now, the real game changer in this middle section is the material condition modifier, specifically the circled M, which stands for maximum material condition, or MMC. When you see this, it means your tolerance zone isn't just static. It dynamically allows for extra geometric tolerance as the feature's actual size departs from its maximum material limit. Put simply, this is where machinists can actually earn bonus tolerance. It makes manufacturing easier, it makes it cheaper, and it still guarantees the parts will actually fit together. Just to show you how wild this is, compare a standard frame to one with an MMC modifier. They look almost identical on paper, right? But adding just that one tiny M modifier completely changes the physical reality of the part. The rigid frame means you get exactly 0.25 millimeters of position tolerance no matter what. But the frame with the MMC modifier, that gives the machinist flexibility. It fundamentally changes how you fixture and inspect the part. It's one of those rare times an engineer actually makes a machinist's life easier.
All right, step 3. Finally, we read the right side of our sentence, the datum references. You can have primary, secondary, and tertiary datums. Think of these letters as anchors. They lock our 0.25 cylindrical tolerance zone into a physical datum reference frame, a strict coordinate system established by actual physical features on the part. Without them, our tolerance zone is just kind of floating aimlessly in space.
Okay, before we go any further, I need you to pay super close attention to this next point. The order in which those datum letters appear is about to completely change everything you think this callout means. Datum precedence is read strictly left to right. It is not alphabetical. The very first letter you see is the primary datum. It establishes the first plane of contact and constrains a minimum of 3 degrees of freedom, requiring at least 3 points of contact on the inspection tooling. The secondary datum, right next to it, only constrains 2 degrees of freedom with 2 points of contact. And the tertiary datum on the right finishes it all up by constraining that last remaining degree of freedom with just a single point of contact. So, why does that order matter so much? Well, if we have the exact same part, but we just swapped the primary and secondary datums in the callout, changing ABC to BAC, we've basically created a totally different set of instructions. The part is now physically fixtured against datum B first instead of A, which means a part that passes inspection under the first frame might completely fail under the second one just because of how it rests on the table.
Let's quickly review the most expensive misreads people make when dealing with these frames. First, assuming datums are alphabetical instead of strictly reading them in left to right order of precedence. Second, missing that crucial diameter symbol and accidentally inspecting a cylinder as a flat plane. And third, ignoring material condition modifiers like MMC, which literally just throws away perfectly good bonus tolerance and scraps parts that are actually totally fine.
Okay, quiz time. Let's put these new decoding skills to the test. Think back to our sentence structure. If I show you a position control frame and a flatness control frame side by side, which one of these absolutely requires datum references at the end of the sentence? Take a second and lock in your answer.
Right, if you guessed position, you absolutely nailed it. As the standard rules outline, orientation, location, and runout tolerances, like position, always have to relate back to a datum. They tell you where a feature is compared to the rest of the part. But form tolerances, like flatness, they never require a datum. They literally only control a feature relative to itself.
Which perfectly sets up our next explainer. In Lesson 3, we're diving deep into form tolerances. We'll explore exactly why they're the only geometric controls that totally rebel against the rules we just learned, operating completely on their own without ever needing a datum reference frame. I mean, how do you even measure a surface without referencing another surface? Join us next time to find out. Keep practicing reading those frames left to right, and I'll catch you in the next lesson.